I understand why you quit. So let's talk about it. Most businesses don't make it past a year sometimes. Some of them never even get off the ground. And there's a reason for that. Business is exhausting. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's trial and tribulation, and it's obstacle after obstacle. And unless you really want it, unless you're really motivated and really driven by whatever it is that you do, so many people give up. And they give up rather quickly. They give up rather quickly. My most recent what the fuck moment, my most recent WTF moment, because I'm going to try not to curse. I have my website through Squarespace, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. And I went to set up my payment portal because I had started setting up my merch, because I had recently launched this love muffin, because that's a lot of times how I greet people and talk to people. And that's the only thing I had on my website for sale was this merch that I had built so that, I could bring in some income. And with Squarespace, you have three options. You have PayPal, you have Square, and you have Stripe. Well, I have PayPal, but the PayPal option didn't give me credit cards when I tried to set that up. And Square is only POS, it's only point of sale. So when you're in person, they've got something they can swipe. And Stripe was going to give me my whole online transaction. Like there was credit cards, Afterpay, you name it. Okay, great. Except for I get an email about an hour later that states that I'm being denied being able to use them as my payment processor because I am either selling spicy content or adult content. And adult content is such a broad spectrum term. So I'm like, all right, I'll appeal this because that was an option. I figured it just had to do with my portfolio, but mind you, I was not selling my prints. Like I hadn't built any of my prints into my website yet. So I wasn't even selling that. I was selling this stupid little love muffin, and it was cute and adorable. It's not adult content. So I pulled my portfolio down and I appeal, this decision. And I said, hey, I pulled my portfolio. I'm happy to look at it. I can make a PG-13. That's fine. Because I was going to make a Patreon on top of all of this so that I could do, some of the stuff that I really shouldn't or can't share on social media because of censorship. And they deny me again, but it gets even better. So I'm like, no, we're good. But here's another payment processor that you can try. And guys, I swear, I think they sent me an affiliate link. They're like, here, try this payment processor. We get a kickback if you sign up with them. But from what I can tell from Squarespace, those are my only three payment options. So I had my moment with it. Because it's so irritated because I'm like, every time I try to do something, I feel like I hit a wall. There's always an obstacle. There's always something. And, I'm pretty damn determined, but there's some days with this stuff where I'm like, why am I doing any of this? Like, is there a point? Yes, I love it. And yes, I'm passionate about it, but I'm going to go into financial ruin at some point in time if I don't start paying myself back somewhere on some of this stuff, right? And then I had my moment with it. I bitched and complained to a couple of people about it because I just needed to vent about it. And then I decided, you know what? Fuck them. They don't need my money. And that's fine because I will find someplace else that's okay with it. So I ended up starting a Shopify store. I am not done building it yet. Sometimes I wish you guys could know how much time it takes to build some of this stuff. And I know some of you do because some of you have built some of this stuff, but when you don't know what you're doing, there's a learning curve. You're looking at tutorials. You're trying to find free information somewhere by somebody who has good information on what you're doing, and they haven't skipped over an important step somewhere in the process. Like, I was not prepared when I picked Squarespace for my website to run into a payment processing issue, but here I am. So I'm working on a lot of things. There's the Shopify store so that, that'll be integrated to my website to where you can get to it from my website, but it's going to be a separate website. I understand why you quit. It's not easy. Just making content takes time. It's not even just the time to think of the idea and for me to sit here and do the video. I then have to edit it. I don't want to edit it. But I can't pay somebody else to do it yet. So there's like this weird in-between balance where you kind of have to learn it all, and then eventually you can kind of like start like handing stuff off to people that you trust to do it. I even backed off on shooting. I've only shot once so far this year, and I think my focus this year is going to be on underwater photography. I really do. I enjoy it so much, and I had enough practice last year that there's things I want to try this year, like actually keeping my butt underwater. It's a problem. But I think I finally found out how much weight that I need to use around my waist to keep me a little bit more, you know, under the water and not my hind end floating up to the top, because that was absolutely aggravating when you're trying to shoot and you're like this because you're trying to keep your camera and your head down, but your butt's up at the top of the water. It's silly. It's first world problems. I mean, it's the reality of it. But I get it. I understand. And there's so many times where even now, like, I'm just like, I don't know why I'm doing any of this. And I do because I love it so much, but it's like at the same time, I don't know. There's an exhaustion point within it. And some of that exhaustion point is the fact that I do have a full-time job, because I got to pay the bills somehow until I make this whatever it is that it's going to be. But there's a lot of things to test run. There's a lot of things to try. There's different ways to go about it. And I can't shoot 24/7. You know, studios cost money. I can shoot from home, and I do that from time to time. But I don't know. I love traveling, so it's like I want to mix in the traveling with it as well too, and then travel costs money. So I get it. Just find your happy place within it. There's going to be days where it's going to fucking suck, and you're going to wish that, you know, you hadn't started it, or you're going to wish something went differently. But I definitely find that more often than not, even when I hit that obstacle, I now learned a new skill. I now learned how to build a Shopify store, and I'm going to learn how to integrate it into my website, and I'm going to learn the next thing. Like tonight, I've got doing a live interview with Star Lively, and I don't know when this video is actually going to post, so the live will probably have been done. But I want to do podcasting. I love talking to people. I love learning, and I think that's a big part of what keeps pushing me forward. Is every time I hit that obstacle, I want to learn something else. And nobody's going to tell me any differently. Like, nah, bitch, you can't do this. I'm like, I do what I want. So whether you want to take my payment processing or not, I do what I want. And I'll figure it the fuck out, because that's what I do. And you guys can do that too. Even if you're tired, even if you're exhausted, you know, family obligations, work obligations, things that break that have to be paid for, I get it. But keep pushing, keep striving, and keep thriving. Bye, guys.